Okay, so the next step is we need to create those little rivets for ourselves where these, so we can allow these panels to intersect with each other. So there's a real simple way to achieve it. It takes a little bit of manual labor in the program, but you'll be able to achieve the result fairly easily. So what I want to do is actually intersect every single... Okay, so we need to intersect all this information. So I'm going to create, for now, just an intersection layer. Intersections. And I'm going to make it some bright color so I can see my intersection lines. And I'm going to make that my current layer. And let me make sure, so I do have curves in this, which is not ideal. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn off my wireframe layers. And so when I select all this information, it should just say 20 surfaces selected. So that's good. Now I know that there's no curves involved when I intersect these two things. It's just the surfaces. So I'm going to do the command intersect. I'm going to select all the objects here and then hit enter. And that quickly, it's created intersection lines for every single one of these. And I'm just going to verify that it did intersect on all of them. Sometimes it can be tricky and not work properly. And it looks like there's an intersection line for every single one of these. Now that I've achieved that, I'm going to turn off both my horizontal and vertical layers, and just to give me only my intersections. And actually I don't like this pink color because it's hard to see, so I'm going to just try green. Green looks is a little bit easier on the eyes. Actually, it's very difficult for you guys to see. It's easier for me to see, not for you. I'm going to just make it black. Can everybody see that? There we go. Okay, so now that they're black, what we need to do is, and think about it conceptually here, each one of these is split right down the center, right? So that way half of it can be notched on one side and then the other half can be notched on the other side. So that way when you put them together and they reach each other, they'll be completely flush, right? If you were to make one of these notches bigger than the other one, then your model would sort of do something along these lines where it would stick out a little bit, and then when you look at it you'll see that it's sticking out and not in profile. So what we need is a center point, right? And you'll notice here probably already that that intersection line is I split into two. So I'm going to go back to our version, and I'm going to create, I'm being very anal about the layers right now, and I'm going to create a points layer, because what I'm going to do is divide these and create a series of points. And I'm going to make that the new layer, and I'm going to change it to just white for now. I think that'll be visible. And I'm going to go ahead and select all my intersection curves and type divide. And I want to divide by a number 2. But I want to make sure that my mark ends is no. And the reason for that is I don't need points at either end of our line, right? Of our intersection line. I just need a point right in the middle. So if I were to just say yes, you see how it creates 3 points for every line? It's excessive. So I'm going to try it again, and I'm going to actually say mark ends is no. And look, it already has a split on here. I've actually never used this. Let's see if this works well. So I'm going to hit enter. And it looks like it did it for us. Would you look at that? So now it's taken this line and it's split it into 2. And I actually didn't even need to create a points layer at all, because the divide did it for us. What I was going to have you manually do is, after you got that point in the center, I was going to have you split off that point, so that way you could split each line, but the divide command does it for you. So now I've got 2 lines here, and so this is where it gets a little bit tricky. What I need to do is separate out between the two a left and a right. So what I'm going to call this is, and these are not going to fall under your horizontal vertical yet, because we haven't decided that yet. I'm going to create another layer, and I'm going to call it left notch curves. And then I'm going to create one more, and if you guessed it already, it's going to be right notch curves. And I'm going to make each one of these its own color. So you can do green and red, or well, maybe let's do green and gold. Just two different colors that are very different from each other. And so I'm going to go in through here, and I'm just going to select only half the lines very carefully. And once I have those selected, I'm just going to send them to a layer. And I'm going to actually turn that layer off, so that way I know that they've been selected. And I'm going to do this process for every single row. So I'm just going to go through and manually do this here. So now I've selected that whole row, and I'm going to send it to the right layer. And now that these two are done, I'm actually going to put them, just to get them out of my way, I'm going to put them on the left notch and hide that. And so I got 3 more rows to do here, so I'm going to just go through here and make sure to only select one half. Make sure you put it on the right layer and just be consistent. So my left goes on the left side, right goes on the right. Go through, pick all these, put them on the right. Put these on the left. And then I just have one last row here. Make sure not to move them like that. And those are right. And then these will be left. And so now when I flip these on, you'll see that they're all split. And let me see how I'm doing on time here. I'm going to stop it.